If you're the owner of a creative brain, here's why you may want to reduce the levels of chronic stress that you have in your life. If you want to know how to reduce the levels of chronic stress, look at some previous videos or DM me. But that aside, why do we need to get rid of chronic stress if we have a creative brain specifically? Here's why I did it. We all know that chronic stress can lead to physical disease like heart disease and cancer, etc. But it can also lead to very damaging psychological things. And the psychological things are what you need to pay attention to as a creative, as someone who has a creative brain. So when we are in a stressed out state, we've triggered fight or flight in the nervous system. When we trigger fight or flight, our body, our nervous system releases adrenaline and cortisol, stress hormones, yeah? Now the first one, adrenaline, goes through the body and passes through the body pretty quickly. But cortisol, the second stress hormone that gets released when we trigger fight or flight, hangs about in the body for a long period of time. But not only that, every single nerve, muscle and fibre of your brain and body has a thing called cortisol receptors, which attract the cortisol to it, which means that when you release cortisol, every single nerve, fibre and brain cell in your body attaches to the cortisol, gets attached to the cortisol. Now cortisol in the brain is a neurotoxin. We do not want neurotoxins inside our brain, especially if we have a creative brain. Because what we know is this: when too much cortisol gets attached to the cells within the brain, it overstimulates the brain cells to death. And there's a part of your brain in the limbic system called your hippocampus. Now your hippocampus, amongst other things, is responsible for laying down and recalling memory and long-term memory. Cortisol damages the hippocampus. When we look at brain scans of someone who is chronically stressed and has a lot of cortisol flowing through their nervous system, their hippocampus is shrunken. This is not good if you're the owner of a creative brain, because three things go when that happens or significantly reduce: curiosity, creativity, and psychological resilience. Creativity, don't forget, why are we creative? Well, it's an unconscious process, and what it is creative people, we pull up old memories of things that we've experienced and done in the past, and we collide them together in new and interesting and different ways. We need our memory in order to be creative. We need to create from something. We need the raw material. This is our memories. If our memories are shot to shit and we're not able to access them as well as we could before, it's going to be much harder to be creative. Think of curiosity. We need to be curious if we want to be innovative and creative within our lives, within our jobs. Now, curiosity is about learning new things and remembering new things. But if we can't do that, if the hippocampus has been damaged by too much cortisol, our curiosity goes down. We're less curious. This is not a good thing to be as a human being in general, as a creative specifically. And also our psychological resilience goes down if our hippocampus has been damaged by too much cortisol, which is a result of too much chronic stress. We need to be psychologically resilient. We need to be anti-fragile if we are to flourish within the creative industries, because you and I both know we go through a lot of pressure in order to create acts of genius. So there you go. This is why I decided to deal with the shit in my life that was causing me stress. Because one, I didn't want to get physically ill with heart disease and cancer, etc. But I also didn't want to be mentally damaged in a way that I was less creative, less curious, and had less psychological resilience. Have a think about that and think, is it worth you reducing your stress levels today?